Hello, this is Skull Dixon. Once a week, I stream on Twitch where I draw random monsters for tabletop role playing games. These are not typically monsters that you'll find in any published monster manual or rulebook. They are created on the spot from my own imagination. The way I start these drawings is with a strong silhouette, as you can see in the video. Then I pull apart the silhouette, find all the hidden shapes that are within to find a type of character. And from there, I build out of that silhouette something that I think will be interesting. I do this every week, and I've been doing it for about a year at this point. I don't always get a time-lapse video up for all these monster drawings. However, if you visit my Twitch, you will be able to see some of the live video as well, where most of the time I'm kind of just either listening to music or being quiet, but occasionally I will have people watching me and we'll be chatting. So in the video, you can see that I'm exploring. I've put the silhouette away and I'm exploring the character within, trying to branch out and give it personality. The silhouette was very static, but I am still trying to have a very clear, well-defined silhouette as I do this. And as I discover the character, I start thinking about, who this creature is, or what is this creature. And originally this was going to be a monster, but as I was working, was drawing this character, I came to realize that he very much seemed more like an interesting non-player character that you could meet more so than a monster. And so I went with that direction. That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. So I had this kind of flash of insight that he was a interdimensional traveling salesman, and this was his amazing collapsible traveling chest. I'm showing an illustration to some of my followers of a book cover I'm putting together for a book that I am doing. It's a collection of monsters I did last year as part of this stream. Overall, this one took probably a little longer than 3 hours altogether to get done. But throughout the whole process, I'm thinking about shapes and how to make this seem very interesting. Adding interest to the characters and to the props. I'm going through and adding additional details and making additional fixes where I need them. And then I'm going in one final time and doing a final pass in black line. Here I will fix up any of the little crude markings I made earlier, and we'll add additional detail to what's already there. I draw all of this every time using the Adobe Animate program, which is normally used for animation. However, I really like drawing in vector. One of the nice aspects of vector drawings is that you can make them as big or as small as you want, if you wanted to print them, for instance, without losing the quality that you originally drew. And you'll see as I'm working, I'll make additional changes to my rough sketch. Things I didn't think about earlier will start coming to mind. And I'll add texturing to things as well. When I got to the box, I started thinking about the perspective and how these boxes line up, and how big each box actually is. So you can see there's a lot of minor adjustments going on in there. And I'm also kind of cheating a little bit with the bottles, which I feel like is a perfectly fine thing to do. The helmet was originally there, but I wanted to add it. So when I added the boots, what I did was I just made a black dot and then created what's called a group. I went inside the group and drew the boots. That way I can leave the group and erase anything that's behind the boots and then collapse that group so that the lines all are on the same plane of space. And decided some of these needed a bit more flourish, so I outlined the fabulous in white. The first thing I decided was on what color I wanted my character. What color is Marv? I went with this kind of Payne's gray, and started pulling out colors based upon that his base color, which is the Payne's gray. When I pick my colors, there's a few color rules I do follow. The warm, the cool. If you have a warm color, give it a complementary cool color to go with the warm color, right? And vice versa. I also use a website called Peloton online to create my palettes. As I was working, I couldn't figure out what I wanted for his skin. It kind of felt like I wanted some variation to the texture of his skin. So originally I tried like a green, and that didn't quite work. But I liked that kind of dark teal green, so I kept it for the spots, and then went back through and added kind of a light blue for the underarms. You'll see me do that quite often, where I'll lay down a color and fill out a whole area, and decide after the fact that I don't really like that. And that's the nice thing about using Adobe Animate, is that it's real easy to just paint bucket replace a color. You could do that in Photoshop too, but you'll have to select the area as well, or it'll start bleeding into the other areas. So it's not as precise. And I do use Photoshop. The rough illustration I was showing earlier, is done in Photoshop. Just adding additional details, adding all the shadows, keeping in mind related hues and how warm and cold works, and how shadows shouldn't actually be the same color as the base color that they're being applied to. Like you can make, say, paint a darker blue on top of a blue as a shadow, but if you adjust that to a related color, the shadows will add additional interest. This guy had a lot of details, so it took a little while to get all these just right. Particularly these two diamonds. And as you can see, I didn't notice right away, but the color of his chin changed, and I went back and fixed it. I think that happened because I had selected that area on accident when I was adjusting the colors for the diamonds. And here I'm fixing the sword because it's not exactly straight. And I'm thinking, of course, about the shadows. So originally you're going to see, a hard shadow on one side of the scabbard and a lighter color on the rest of the scabbard. But, looking at it, it would script the shadows of everything else if I did that. So I just darkened the whole scabbard. Normally, I don't give these creatures props, particularly big ones like this. Usually I'm done with the creature by now, but because Marv comes with this fabulous traveling suitcase like trunk, I wanted to. It just took a little longer to get it all done. And then, of course, I wanted to add little bits of interest. Well, thanks for hanging out. I hope you I hope you enjoyed this video and any of the other ones that I have put up. Uh, you can find me on Twitch under Skull Dixon. I usually stream on Mondays in the morning. If you follow me on Twitter, I put up alerts beforehand when I'm going to stream. Also, if you subscribe and ring the bell here on YouTube, you'll know when I drop more of these videos. And if you follow me on Twitch, you should get a notification when I start streaming. Take care.